The objective for this lesson is I can add decimals. So there's a couple things you're going to have to do for your independent practice today so that you can add up decimals. The first one is we want to be able to start breaking apart decimals into expanded form. This is going to help us in a few different ways, but definitely with adding. Let's go back to earlier in the year, first of all, when we wrote whole numbers in expanded form, right? So if I had 234, how would I write 234 in expanded form? Do you remember? That's right. You would take, see how many you had in the hundreds place, so 200, right? Plus 3 tens is 30, plus 4 ones. So that's how you'd write 234 in expanded form. All right, so we're going to do that with decimals. And they give you an example up here, but I'm going to do number 2 for you. So watch, and then you're going to do number 3. So when you write decimals in expanded form, it's the same thing as whole numbers. So if you look at my number over here, 39 and 8/10, it's the same thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my 3 and I'm going to see what place my 3 is in, right? I have 3 in the tens place. So 3 tens would be 30, right? I have 9 ones, so 9 ones is 9, right? And then I have 8 tenths. So what I do is, if you notice, here's how they wrote 3 tenths in the example problem. So to write 8 tenths, I would just write 0.8. Okay, and I don't have any other numbers after that, so I can leave that blank. But that's it. I've done it. I've written 39 and 8/10 in expanded form now. So now you have 2 examples to look at, 1 and 2. I want you to write this number in expanded form. Okay, so again, you look at your first digit, your largest digit, and I don't mean largest like 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean the digit in the biggest place value. So always, I want you to start from the left. So 5 is in tens place. You have 5 tens, which is 50. You have 7 ones, which is 7. Okay, you have 0 in the tens place. That's fine. You can either leave that blank, or if it helps you to write that, that's fine. Okay, now when you write the decimal, notice it's going to be the same as that, because that 4 is 2 digits, 2 place values away from the decimal point. So you have to put decimal point, you have to put the 0 in, and that would be a 4. All right. If any of this expanded form is tricky, I want you to hit rewatch or watch this video again, especially if you have trouble on the independent practice. Okay. Second thing you have to do in your independent practice is add. So notice the directions here. It says first, rewrite the addition sentence below using fractions. So just do that. Okay, you're going to write the decimals as fractions. So I look at this first one, right? How would I pronounce that? It's 7 in the tenths place, right? But they want me to write it using hundredths because this decimal is in the hundredths and I have to have common denominators. So, but remember, 7/10 is equivalent to what fraction? Oh, that's over 100. So in other words, 7/10, what would go here? That's right, it would be 70, because 7/10 is the same as 70 over 100. Right? I can just add a 0 to the top and bottom, which is really multiplying the top by 10, the bottom by 10. All right? This one is basically done for you because if you can pronounce it, you can write it. That's 38 hundredths. Done. Okay. Now I need to add. So this is where it's a little tricky. I wonder why, I don't know why they gave you one like this. But anyway, so 70 plus 38 is 108 over 100. They shouldn't have given one like this. Anyway, that's okay. But then you're supposed to write it as a decimal. Here's where it gets tricky. Okay, notice your numerator is greater than your denominator. This is actually a good example just in case they give you one like this on your independent practice. So if your numerator is larger than your denominator, you know it's going to be a mixed number, right? So here's all you have to do. In this case, you would take the 1 out, because it's 1 and something, right? And then what you're left with is 0.8 over 100, which is 8 hundredths. So it would look like that. Okay? I'm giving you one, hopefully, that's a little easier that I want you to try. So go ahead and look back at this example if you need to. But what I want you to do is take this problem, the decimals. First thing I want you to do is write it as fractions. So what you're going to do in this answer is you're going to have two answers. I'm going to want you to write the decimals down here as fractions. So tell me what that would be, what this fraction would be, and what this fraction would be. That's right. So 3/10 is the same as 30 over 100, right? This one is the easier part because it's already 5400, so I just have to fill that in. All right, so hopefully you got 30 over 100 and 54 over 100. You add them together and you get that, 84 over 100. Now you have to go back and write it as a decimal. So how would you write 84 hundredths as a decimal? That's correct. Decimal point 84. Now the reason they have you do it this way is because, again, you have to be able to write decimals as fractions and fractions as decimals. But I'm going to show you what you could also do if you were just going to add decimals, which I'm sure we're going to get to next week, right? Just like we did before in the last lesson. If you just had decimals, you could stack them, right? And add them. Okay, as always, go back and rewatch this if you need to.